Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. Today, we got another Top 5 Guns video for you. All right, you guys might recall a really cool video that we put out some years back called Top 5 Guns to Buy Before a Potential Ban. And in that video, we went through some of the firearms that, of course, the anti-gun establishment totally hates, and under a potential anti-gun run of legislation would be the first types of guns that they would go after in some sort of a gun grab or a ban or any type of extra regulatory burden that would be placed upon those items. In the following years and since then, we've had tons of requests from you guys for us to do a follow-up to that video to talk about the top 5 guns that we would buy before some form of a potential ban. Now, if you recall that original video, the usual suspects were certainly in play in that particular situation. Of course, we showed off, I think, an AR, an AK, semi-auto shotgun, and in the 5 guns videos, we break those firearms down into different categories and everything like that. And of course, we showed off our awesome Barrett M107 in that particular video. Our views on that haven't necessarily changed. The guns in question haven't really changed a lot. The political landscape has, however, as well as the amount of disposable income that the end user may have at their disposal to obtain said firearms. COVID has put a major pinch on people's livelihoods. You know, the amount of hours you can work, your job, some people are out of work. And the barrier of entry for some of those guns are very difficult to achieve right now. Whether it's because of availability being extremely spotty, even more spotty than when we made that first video, or whether because the price of those items has gotten so prohibitively expensive that you just can't afford the extra cheddar. I think you're going to be enlightened by our choices in this top 5. So what's number 1, Chad?
Well, number 1 is a stripped AR-15 receiver.
Why, Chad?
All right, so this is not only the heart of an AR, okay, as it is the, serialized portion. This is the firearm. When you buy one of these, you're buying a firearm, okay? And this can be a handgun. This can be a rifle, okay? It is sold as a stripped receiver. It can be anything you wish. And these Andersons, poverty ponies, get that nickname because they are pretty reasonably priced, okay? Going rate for these right now on a lot of sites is around $50. So this is a very cheap barrier of entry, okay, into a actual firearm. Add the pieces that you can garner in the future, your upper, your lower receiver parts kit and things, and your bolt carrier group, and then boom, you got a rifle. I mean, you're done.
Or a pistol.
Or a pistol.
Or let's say you want to go the route of doing a short-barreled rifle. You can certainly use a strip receiver as a basis for building a short-barreled rifle if you wish. So there's a lot of flexibility in a stripped receiver. And all right, well, number 2, another stripped receiver. Once you buy one, buy another one. And I think you see here, guys, that we are establishing a
precedent?
Yes. Say we had 5 stripped receivers instead of buying, let's just say, all the guns that we initially mentioned in the first video. This would allow us to sort of future-proof the builds in terms of how we would do it. So these would be on a form or whatever, and then bam, you've got essentially 5 different firearms. For $250, $300, you've got 5 different configurations you could build an AR out into. Things have changed considerably.
They have. All right,
Go ahead, Chad.
So not only the anti-gunners out there, but also the media over the past several years, they have truly vilified gun owners, but they have truly vilified the AR-15, okay? No matter what gun might be used in the crime, it's always an AR-15. Isn't that funny? So when we were thinking about this video, it's like, well, what's the gun that anti-gunners hate the most?
All right, so
I mean, that's one point.
One would ask themselves, okay, well, why in the world would I want 5 or 6 stripped receivers for essentially what's the same gun? You got to think bigger than that. The AR-15 has really come full circle in terms of its modularity. Now, we discussed in a previous video just how modular the AR is. I mean, there's so many cool accessories, and we're not going to go down the rabbit hole, but I can take a standard, receiver like this, and I can build a 9mm PCC out of it. I can get a CMMG type kit and build a 22 out of it. So with this receiver, I've got my rimfire, I've got my 9mm PCC, I've got my 5.56 center fire. I can build myself a 300 blackout hunting rifle with a long barrel if I wish. I can build myself out, a 224 Valkyrie or a 6mm ARC or 6mm AR, or so I've got my long range potential in there. Now, one of these receivers, instead of being set up for a short action, I could substitute one of these for a long action AR-10 receiver, and then later I could build an AR-10 and 6mm Creedmoor, 6.5 Creedmoor, 308, and now, all right, that's a rifle I can use for hunting, long range shooting. So there's a ton of flexibility in this that allows you to go, hey, I might want to build it out this way or that way down the road, and the barrier of entry is very low and affordable. And having a few of these on hand is most certainly an exceptionally good idea.
It is. Like Eric mentioned, the CMMG 22 kits, all right? These are 22 bolts, okay? They are an adapter that you pull the bolt carrier group out from, say, your 5.56. You drop the 22 kit in, and you use a 22 magazine, and you have a 22 rimfire with the same platform that you currently have, with just the added cost of the conversion kit and a magazine. And we've shown one of those off just recently.
Absolutely.
So if you're a new gun owner, okay, and you need to have an AR and you need to have a 22, well, you've killed two birds with one stone. Right there.
Right.
All right. Now, one thing that I don't really want to talk about, but it needs to be talked about, is the fact that buying multiple receivers like this, when Eric mentions future-proofing, you are future-proofing if a ban does wind up getting passed. They've been trying to pass so-called assault weapons bans for years and years and years, ever since the 94 crime bill expired, okay? It sunsetted in 2004, all right? That's where you heard the terms like pre-ban and post-ban and all this kind of nonsense, and you had to buy, rifles, newly produced rifles in certain configurations to meet the requirements of the ban. And the anti-gunners learned a lot since then, and they will not make the same mistakes again. We've seen that in previous legislation that has come to the table that has gotten defeated, and we've had some close calls. But a lot of these pieces of legislation, they have grandfather clauses. Okay, so what you currently own, you can keep, is what they say. So if you really are thinking about future-proofing in the unfortunate event that legislation like that does get passed, you're covered, in a certain sense. It's not what we want to think about, but it's a fact of life. It's part of the threat that we do face as gun owners when it comes to Second Amendment rights and the anti-gunners trying to strip them away from us.
It is the most logically valid solution. Okay. Now, when we made that first video, of course, it's always in jest and fun, and we love to show off awesome technology.
Yeah, a little bit of satire in there, too.
And we certainly are not saying, hey, yes, absolutely, go, pick yourself up an AK, an AR if you have the means, 9mm PCC. We always break these things down into categories. So I think that, let's say you don't want to go the receiver route, which I think is a very smart way to go. It's a logical solution that doesn't require a lot of money. But if you don't want to go that route and you do want to round things out, I'll just quickly reiterate. Semi-automatic rifle, like maybe a good AR-15 or an AK or both. If you're like me, I love both. Yeah. But definitely a good semi-auto rifle like an AR, a good semi-auto shotgun I think is very important. Or if you don't want a semi, get you a good pump, very, very versatile, 12-gauge shotgun, goes without saying, guys. A good handgun, a good like 9mm PCC I think is pretty important. And then maybe look at something like a nice rimfire that you can train and practice with and not spend a ton of money. Or if you're into hunting, maybe you could substitute one of those guns with something that could also double as like a hunting rifle. So maybe instead of doing an AR-15 in 5.56 or something, maybe if you're into hunting, do an AR-10. You got a 30 cal you can defend yourself with, you can hunt with it, and then you can still fill the shotgun, pistol, PCC category and still have a slot left over for a 22 or something of that nature. So guys, those guns haven't really changed. That's why we wanted to mention these, but don't take this as a joke. This is a great way to sort of have that lower barrier of entry and to future-proof any potential ban that could result. And one can speculate as to what the language of a Biden-Harris gun ban would be. But I think in my mind, I view it as a situation where we could only hope that maybe things that are out there already would be somehow grandfathered or something like that. So
Yeah, they're only grandfathered until they're not. It's like they'll grandfather everything in, but then they'll pass more legislation to actually make you, require citizens to have licenses to own firearms, and then they're going to make you register everything that you currently owned or whatever the case is, and then they just come to your door knocking one day and say, yeah, well, sorry, but there was a bad shooting and whatever, and we got to take all these because the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many.
what's the wild card, Chad?
Oh, the wild card?
Yeah,
Wait a minute.
another one.
They had babies, giant babies.
Oh,
All right.
God. All right,
Oh,
guys.
Lord.
I hope you see there's a little humor in here, but don't take this lightly, right? It's very important that, we look at the future of our rights and the future of gun ownership and understand that firearms, namely AR-15, semi-autos of various types, many configurations, are in wide use commonly, much, much, much more than they were 10 years ago. Many, many, many more people continue to purchase these. Many, many more of them continue to be produced. And right now, the FBI crime statistics, as they're released, is that the third year in a row, there's been a steady decrease in violent crime involving firearms. And when you do look at the crime data, the firearms in question aren't even these types of guns anyway. So they are actually trying to apply a Band-Aid, all-encompassing solution to a problem that actually doesn't even exist. Not within the confines of what we're discussing here.
These are easy scapegoats. The AR-15 is an easy scapegoat for crime, and it looks evil and naughty. So, the media can just put it out there and they can vilify it however they want.
Right.
And it's just because of pop culture, and you see, items like this being used in movies and things like that, and, terrorists using AK-47s across the pond. And it's just, oh, it's so bad. I'm so scared. Anyway.
It's important, guys, for us to make sure that we're remaining vigilant, that we're being politically active, and that you are letting all of your friends and relatives who are gun people know the importance of showing that solidarity with our rights and fighting this stuff tooth and nail. I'm not going to get into that on a 5 Guns video, but make sure you tune in to Gun Gripes. We've got many announcements and things we'll be making on pending gun legislation on the way. We obviously shoot guns here on the channel. We've got our 5 Guns. If you're tuning in, we've got our Gun Gripe series. That's where we discuss things politically going on. Now, with the ammunition shortages, we haven't been doing many meltdowns. But we got our Meltdown series. It's very entertaining. We've got all different types of stuff. We are an all-encompassing page for gun owners here on YouTube. So if you are a new gun owner or an experienced gun owner, there's something here for everybody. Definitely subscribe to our channel. Check us out. Also, make sure you're following us on all the social media outlets. For now, we're on Parler. We're on Twitter. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and we're also on Rumble. We are porting a lot of our stuff over to Rumble. And a very special announcement that not a lot of people know yet. Well, no one knows because I haven't told you. But now you're going to know. Is that we are actually going to be porting a lot of our content also over to Recoil TV. So a big thanks to Recoil for supporting us in that and making sure that we can kind of future-proof where our content may exist in uncertain times for folks like us. So who knows?
One last thing I wanted to mention.
Sure.
Eric mentioned the ammunition shortage, okay? There's such a high, unprecedented demand for ammo and firearms, okay? Just to give you a quick synopsis of the reasoning behind that, last year in 2019, okay, the firearms producers out there, okay, they were gearing up for the holiday season like they do every year. Okay, starting in October, they produce firearms leading up to that range between like October, November, December, January. All right, when people are buying guns like crazy for the holidays, for gifts and things like that. Whatever the case is, getting Christmas money, going to the gun store. All right, well, they sold out of that stock in like April. All right, because of coronavirus and all the scare with the pandemic and everything. So the manufacturers have been trying to catch up this entire time. So that's why firearms themselves have been in high demand, and the production is like maxed out. But there's just such a high, unprecedented demand for it that the companies are having a hard time keeping up. So if you go to find these items and somebody doesn't have them, just wait, because they will be produced. I mean, it's not like they're not going to be produced.
Right.
The raw materials are there, the production capabilities are there. It's just the demand is so high, you just kind of have to catch them when they're on sale. And you can find sales on these items all over the internet.
This achieves the barrier of entry.
It does.
And it does it in a very, very low cost, which I know a lot of us right now don't have tons of money laying around. This is a great way to do that. So
Yep.
thank you very much.
Anyways.
Guys, keep your eyes peeled. It's really important to stay on top of this stuff. And thank you so much for watching. If you love the channel and you wish to support us directly, I would like to thank our Patreon supporters who donate money each month to help keep this content rolling. Thank you so very much for your support and patronage. Also, I'd like to thank folks who buy merch from us over on Ballistic Ink. We've got hoodies, t-shirts, ball caps, all kind of nice stuff. All right, good things. All the things that are good, as old Greg would say.
All the things
Greg.
are good.
All right, and I would also like to thank everyone who purchases Man Cans. It's a great subscription box, all kind of awesome gear that we hand select for you guys. We've changed up the model a little bit, but we got some great boxes for sale. Check them out. If you love the channel and wish to support us, that's a way that you can do so. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time.
See you guys.